short time, we have already got it. So it is indeed a great pleasure for me to be this evening and to encapsulate the topic NLP, which talks about neuro-linguistic programming. Friends, the idea here is to initiate learning and try to make sure that what the work environment demands and how we can get to know about others and get the best of what we want from them to do. So this is not a science, but a practice, which can be very well be drafted by you as an individual. All the kings and the queens, they practiced NLP, and even the prime ministers and the ministers and the bosses around, the big bosses, they all practice this particular tool in order to bring prosperity at workplace and also, above all, get the job done, which is actually activated for. So I will just initiate that talk with my presentation. I'm sure it is visible to you people, and we shall look forward to that appreciation by your connect. Friends,
Sharma, not
excellence.
getting your audio. Hello, everybody is getting the audio? Because I see
You can write in the chat window.
In the chat window.
Yeah. Are you getting? Are you getting?
Yes.
Yes, they can hear me.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
No worries. Thank you very much.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. So when we talk about NLP, friends, the objective stands about better skills, greater knowledge, wider perception, all leading to a high level of opportunities. This attribute talks about two formats. First is the operational principles, and the second one is the technique and the derivatives using the mind maps. NLP can be used to influence self and also to influence others. Getting the job done the best possible way for you as a boss and for you as a colleague, is this the new policy? NLP talks about it, the initiation. This particular video will explain the concept of NLP, and then we'll take it further about the concept, about the initiative. Let's understand from this very video.
Hi friends, welcome to the world of neuro-linguistic programming. This is Dr. Dheeraj Mehrotra, your resource. Friends, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, is a psychological approach that involves understanding and modeling the patterns of human behavior, communication, and thought processes. It was developed in the 1970s by Richard Bandler and John Grinder, who studied successful therapists and communicators to identify the strategies they use for positive change. The term neuro-linguistic programming breaks down as follows. Neuro refers to the neurological system, including the brain and the five senses, through which human experience is processed. Linguistic involves language and other nonverbal communication systems used to make sense of the world, to communicate with others, and to store and recall information. Programming refers to the patterns of behavior, thinking, and feeling that individuals develop and run automatically. NLP is a psychological approach that involves analyzing strategies used by successful individuals and applying them to reach a personal goal. It relates thoughts, language, and patterns of behavior learned through experience to specific outcomes. To understand NLP, imagine two people, Alice and Bob. They both have the same job, same skill level, and same amount of experience. Yet, Alice consistently outperforms Bob. She's more productive. She gets along better with her colleagues, and she's happier at work. How does Alice do it? In the world of NLP, The answer lies not just in what Alice does, but in how she does it. Maybe Alice uses specific strategies to stay focused on tasks. Perhaps she has a positive self-talk routine that boosts her confidence. Or maybe she has a unique way of building rapport with her colleagues that makes them want to work with her. NLP is all about uncovering these how elements, the strategies, mental states, and communication tactics that make people like Alice more successful than their peers. Now you might ask, how can I apply NLP in my life? Well, NLP is a vast field with many different techniques. Some of them include anchoring, where a certain action triggers a specific emotional state, reframing, which involves changing the way you perceive a situation to alter your emotional response, and mirroring, which is subtly mimicking another person's behavior to build rapport. Consider this scenario. You're feeling nervous before a big presentation. Using the NLP technique of anchoring, you can train your mind to associate a specific action, like tapping your fingers together, with a state of calmness. Then, before your presentation, you perform this action, triggering a feeling of calm and reducing your nerves. Or maybe you're struggling with a challenging task at work. Instead of seeing it as a problem, you can use reframing to view it as an opportunity to learn and grow, changing your emotional response from stress to excitement. The beauty of NLP is that it provides a toolbox of strategies and techniques that you can use to enhance your communication, improve your personal development, and achieve your goals. In summary, NLP is an approach to communication and personal development that involves analyzing and applying successful strategies. It's about understanding the how behind success and using this understanding to create a roadmap to reach your personal goals. Whether it's improving your productivity at work, building better relationships, or boosting your confidence, NLP can provide the tools, techniques, and strategies you need. Remember, like any tool, the power of NLP lies in its application. So, apply these insights and see the difference they can make in your life. After all, in the realm of personal development and communication, understanding is just the first step. Application is where the magic truly happens. Enjoy the learning. Cheers.
Well, this was an idea which reflected about what and why about neuro-linguistic programming. Friends, how to succeed with how we tend to reflect on this particular thing, talks about how to succeed with this particular tool, going from good to great at work. That is to increase the confidence, influencing skills about you need to influence others, get the job done, create a rapport, what the video talks about, and above all, be more effective in your communication, understand the use of body languages, handle the conflict situation, dispel anxiety, and even trust your intuition. That goes with the three formula through attention, affection, and appreciation. That is what, to build a rapport at a workplace, we need to identify how we practice NLP as a tool so that unconsciously you win over others. In fact, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, the better known as, is an approach to communication, personal development, psychotherapy, and above all, it explores the connections between neurological processes, language and behavioral purposes, and above all, it identifies the learning of individuals, enhancing their self awareness, communication skills, and the ability to influence others positively. Now, positively is something like what we tend to reflect on identifying. Well, it talks about the five senses, which include the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic, the olfactory, and the gustatory. Through seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, and tasting, with reflection of the identity which we make use of for influencing self and influencing others. Friends, the topic here talks about some ground rules for NLP, which means that people who are like themselves or who like how they would like to be. Certainly, if I have a taste of a coffee, I would try to, look for a person who has a taste of the similar coffee. And henceforth, we tend to reflect on rapport building. So that is one thing. As in the video, we talked about the origin of NLP. Well, it's a model of communication that was originally founded by Richard Bandler and John Grinder, and we've already discussed about it. They talked about different therapists who could evolve about the modeling process and their subjective experiences on how language patterns can influence thought and the behavior. Friends, the neuro-linguistic programming talks about the three terms: the nerve communication network of the human body, which relates to neuro. Linguistic is how we speak to ourselves or to others, and programming is what the operating instructions that create an outcome. Well, friends, NLP offers the world class tools for success, from deeply unpacking the mindset and the abilities of those who are champions in their particular field. Perfection is the journey, not a destination. And that is what we tend to reflect when we impart lessons of NLP. All I need is within me now. I'm confident. I can do it. Yes. Friends, the attachment here talks about the attitude, and it adapts that supporting values through this very inception about encompassing various techniques such as anchoring, reframing, and modeling to promote personal growth, effective communication, and a change in the behavior. The concept of implementing NLP is important to its beneficiary, its scientific basis, and effectiveness that can be debated within the psychological community in particular. Well, it also promises that if you use this technique, you will be able to build instantaneous rapport with others. And once, of course, you shake hand, you build rapport. You wear the same color, you build rapport. You tend to reflect on people identifying the same month of the birth. You develop rapport, and that rapport development helps you to progress not only in your life, but even you help out others as well. Well, NLP has been applied in various fields, including therapy, coaching, sales, and above all, education. And the goal of improving communication and achieving the desired outcomes in the best of the possible ways. Well, friends, we tend to pace, lead, and pace. We tend to reflect on the pace and lead approach, which talks about the ground rule of NLP, which talks about you have the resources to do whatever you want to do. Well, of course, the idea here is to visualize, which is again a very important aspect of NLP. We tend to reflect through the visualization process. And of course, this technique helps us to hear the athletes. They imagine crossing the line, exult into the victory, and henceforth we come to the ground rule 3, which means if someone else can do it, you can do it as well. So these are the ground rules which help us practice NLP in the best of the possible ways. So it's a creative thinking process. It helps in the communication model. It helps to develop rapport. It helps to develop emotions, control state, confident, resourceful, calm. This is a mind map of the learning through NLP, which explains in a better way about what it is. Well, friends, NLP has been applied in diverse areas. In simple words, if I say that I'm going to use NLP, I will talk to you, and the process of using NLP will be to develop rapport, to win over you. What I'll do is I'll find commonalities. I'll tend to reflect on the commonalities which you possess with me, and then I will develop rapport with you. And then the ultimate is making you do what I feel like doing through you. So that's the approach. So NLP has been applied in various areas as discussed earlier. First is the therapy and the counseling, where NLP is used to address behavioral and emotional issues of exploring the thought patterns. Of course, in the business and the sales, the employees help understand and enhance their communication process, the negotiation process, and the persuasion techniques. Like you have to sell a product to somebody. So you will apply the tool of NLP, wherein you tend to reflect on developing a rapport by reflecting ideas. Oh, let us understand about this person. Well, let us see, first of all, what are the hobbies of this particular person, so that I can talk about those hobbies and try to, make him happy. And once he is happy, he is going to buy my product, somewhat like an attribute through which a process where you bring a delight for the person. Above all, education, as depicted earlier, it is applied to improve teaching methods, enhance the learning process, and address individual learning styles. Even personal development. NLP techniques are often employed for self improvement, boosting of confidence, and managing stress in a particular manner. Also, friends, when I talk about that very scenario, there is a reflection on the identity where the mind map may display it better about the ground rules. There comes the very, very important ground rule here, which talks about there is no failure at all. It's all feedback. And above all, we also discuss about the prepositions or the presuppositions, wherein it talks about the basic beliefs and the attitudes that NLP designs and defines to explore. The first presupposition is rapport is created when respecting how others see the world. And then only, of course, we tend to reflect on that identity. The idea also talks about, as the next three presupposition, which talks about behavior occurs in a context, and you don't judge a person out of one incident, right? That understanding attributes to all behavior is motivated by positive intent. And that approach talks about resistance in a person indicates lack of rapport. Suppose you have to sell a product to an individual, right? And that person is having a resistance. So once his rapport is developed with you, of course, there shall be no resistance. Similarly, it can be like anything you want to get the job done, or maybe at office space, you want to attribute on getting things done. That is the proposed uh, inception of course, people are not their behaviors, and that is what is the presupposition of NLP. The mindset talks about everyone does the best he or she can with the available resources, and there is no such thing as failure. There's always a feedback. That presupposition of NLP talks about that whenever we are going to identify the tools of NLP for making a job done, we have to understand these presuppositions and the thought rules. Then teach information in small steps to ensure success. Even NLP incorporates various tools where we encapsulate the propositions or the presuppositions. Students are in charge of their minds and their results. The map is not the territory. That is again that we don't identify. You can't be lost if you have a map. People recall structured information as 40% better. The map is not the territory, is of course metaphorically illustrates the differences between the belief and the reality. That phrase was coined by Alfred Korsky, and we see the things not as they are, but as we are. And that is what we try to reflect on the misconceptions. I taught the subject, but the students did not learn, or the operation was a success, but the patient died. So itinerary is not the holiday, and the recipe is not the cake even. That's one of the attributes we tend to reflect on while we practice NLP. How well we communicate is indicated by the response we receive. And that's what we term as the anchors of NLP. And we all can be resourceful if we are in charge of our emotional stage. Friends, anchoring, associating with a specific stimulus with a particular emotional state to trigger the state matter. It talks about how we practice NLP, and we'll come to that point after this proposition, which talks about flexible communicators find a way to establish a rapport. How flexible are you in communication? And that's the way you can even help yourself develop a rapport. Calibrate on behavior. Happiness depends on ourselves, and that calibration talks about present behavior is the best choice available. Friends, when we talk about this, of course, you cannot but communicate. That is the proposition or the presupposition which demands with that equal standard. People have all the resources they need to succeed. Only thing is, we need to believe in the positive attitude. The person with the most flexibility of behavior will control the system. That is getting set, go. It has to be the mindset. It's going to relate through the tools. And if you try, you won't succeed. In the sense, like try is a negative word here, which talks about the ground rules of NLP. Negative belief through try, because if you try, there is always a negative perception which says, oh, you're not going to do it. You said you're going to try doing it, you know? So 100% engagement is not there. So there's an element of struggle about the word try, which is not enabling in a teaching or a learning environment. Above all, whatever you say before will be negated by the word but, and everything after it is emphasized. So there is another word, negative belief, that is but, should be avoided, as you should avoid try in your communication. Friends, there's another word, if, which talks about negative belief. So instead of if, but, and try, use the word and, which is more positive and henceforth helps you in developing rapport for NLP. Friends, rapport is created by feeling of commonality. Only 7% by words and 93% by skills. That proposition talks about another tool of rapport, that is matching. You know, at times we sit like this, or we sit like this, we fold our hands like this. The other person also tends to do the same thing. And that is known as, once it is done, the rapport is performed, you know, the rapport is developed. And then, of course, you can get on the same page and reflect on doing things, right? Then, of course, there's a very, very smart mirroring. This was also mentioned in the video, wherein you tend to act, and this is the way you can develop rapport. And unconsciously, we have been doing it in our real lives, you know, at times when we are holding a pen, or maybe wearing the same color tie, or wearing the same color shirt, and then they tend to come closer, you know, and that is the attribute what you need to march for if you want this to happen, you know, activation. Then, of course, the posture I discussed, and of course, the quality which talks about hand movements. We tend to reflect, we need to convince people through the hand movements. That is one of the ways of developing rapport through the practice of NLP. Then facial expression, how you express yourself, talks about the very initiation, you know. This talks about mimicking the non-verbal behaviors of others to establish rapport and enhance the communication process. That presupposition talks about encouraging positive thinking and the behavior. So, friends, using anchors to create a positive state, an anchor is a stimulus that triggers in you or others, and it can even come from any source of the five senses. So, that's one way of producing and activating the very potential of integrating NLP through this very process. Well, friends, rapport building, as I've discussed, is about establishing a strong relation or a connection with others through mirroring, matching, and adapting communication styles. That spectrum talks about how deep we can connect, and of course, the experience which. So, developing rapport also talks about how we breathe, notice the kind of breathing they do, whether it is light, shallow, deep, fast, or slow, and breathe in the same way. Accordingly, friends, speech, the way you speak to convince people, that's one of the ways of developing a rapport. Remember, the whole crux of using NLP is to develop a rapport between the two of you among all, you know. So that's one very important thing is the speech. Then words, what are the words? What are the, what's your vocabulary, how you deliver those words, as well as what are those words which make them feel happy about it, right? Then, of course, the keywords, let us feed minds to grow knowledge. The keywords about defining that structure and application of that very initiative helps getting wonders. Friends, that is the way we process, that is the way we try to initiate the very process. And the ultimate is to get the job done, make people make people get the job done at any workplace. NLP is not a thing. It is a methodology that consists of a range of different techniques. People become skillful in the use of NLP techniques through being taught well. Using the NLP techniques, of course, it helps people create more choices in their life and in the life of others. As initially I told you, it's for influencing self and influencing others. Well, the activity you are most avoiding contains your biggest opportunity, and that reflection as an identity talks more about it. And in the end, I just like to refer to some of my books which are available on Amazon. One of them is NLP for Teachers, which initiates learning and explores the identity of to the very perfection. Friends, I'm open to questions, if any, just in case, and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Anybody got hello? Anybody got any questions, please? Any questions? Anybody? Yes, Mr. Kamal. You want to ask anything? Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Malhotra, for such a nice presentation. And I hope all the participants, they had learned the NLP and understand the requirement of NLP in today's scenario. And we will be having such more sessions of Dr. Dheeraj Malhotra from LMA side. And I hope we all will learn a number of good things from that. Thank you very much for all the participants for listening very attentively this presentation. Okay, thank you.